Welcome back, sports fans. Here we go, another video, and we are upgrading Sprint's coach. This is one I've recorded, so just coming back to it just to be able to show you what upgrading a Sprint coach to level 15 actually does. Now, as we know, coaches generally don't do a thing. We know this. But we're hoping as we're going into level 15 that we might be able to get some improvements. So obviously we'll start with the 100 and then work our way up to the 400. The aim is, as with all upgrades, we are going to do a single run, hopefully get a PB and then move on to the next event. So PB currently at 9.413. So obviously we're looking for some type of improvement on top of that from the coach. As I said, coaches generally do not give very good improvements. So we've got a good start. You're never going to get a PB with a good start. And then a perfect and a good early dip for the line. So that's one of the things I've noticed recently is you want to get that sort of early dip so they're fully extended by they get to the line. I have done videos on it before to say, well, what is the real benefit of the dip? And there wasn't much. But if you are going to dip, which I always recommend you do, dip as early as possible. It's not as beneficial dipping later. So, obviously based on getting a good start, that means we need to do another 100 meters. We always try to make sure that we get a PB when we do an upgrade. Obviously a long event like the 3K, you don't do another good start, so that's not going to get us a PB. But a perfect middle section, and again, that probably wasn't the earliest step, but was that the exact same time again? I'd have to go back and check, but it does feel like it is the exact same time again. Very rare that you should be able to do that, based on the law of averages to a 3 decimal point. But if the game says it was the same, the game says it was the same. Now, straight back into 100 metres because we need to get a perfect start, really just to test this coach out. So, here we go again. Lane 2, not our favourite lane. We like to be in 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 4. 1 and 2, not the best lanes, although I've often got PBs from lane 1 or 2. Here we go, early dip, there we go. And 9.431. Now that suggests that a PB is possible using upgrading the sprint coach. It's probably just a matter of time. There's a very fine line on the start on this. And so if you do have a very good time, then it's often put down to having everything perfect. So it's not normally easy to get on sprints to get those big increases until you do the athlete, obviously. Now, we are not doing the athlete. So we're going to switch to the 200 and let's see what we get for the 200. Here we go. So we'll do at least a couple of runs on the 2. And that's a false start. And the reason why we get false starts, I get quite a lot of false starts, and the reason is, especially if you're going for PBs, you've run it so close to the edge of, you are near enough at the perfect time you can do based on your cards, that when you upgrade, and if it's not the athlete, then you have to run that perfect time again to get the improvement, because anything less than that puts you on a parity. So let's hopefully get a proper look at what the 200 can do since upgrade. Make some space just so we get that package. Do you know what? I should really look at the cost of making spaces versus not. But the one thing it does do is it gets me extra cards. there's probably an interesting video there. Should you skip chests on a long stint of if you're grinding? There's a perfect start. Or if you are grinding, you're better off just buying a chest from the training centre, which you probably are, to be fair. And that's, we had perfect, good, perfect. So the fact that gave us an 18996, it does show, in my opinion, that there is improvement on the 200. Now, how much improvement that'll be, I don't think it'll be a great deal. It might get us down to 189 flat, but we'll have to wait and see. But we'll give it another go, just on the 200. So yeah, so 189 flat I think is realistic based on our cards. I am pretty sure there are some maths experts out there who could probably work out that when you upgrade certain things and your scores, get to a certain level on sprint speed and reaction time, that you can actually work all this out. Even closer that time, so there's definitely room for a PB here. We just got to nail the run. One of the things we do say with a lot of these is we obviously go for the we go for the PB every time we do an upgrade. But the reality is that those PBs do often come over time. Again, we're making space just so we can have a look. We'll make space for a couple of runs because we still got to do 200 and then do 400. So 200 again. Set, go, false start. Okay. I wonder if we're going to actually catch anyone. There you go, past those 4, and that's a perfect stance there. So even if you get a false start, you can often finish middle place. Would you quit at 200? No, because you're always going to get up to up to the right place to at least get a couple of stars when you're doing it. And now it's time for the 400. So I think if we're looking at the conclusions as we're going, 100 metres, should we be getting a PB? Yes. 200 metres, should we be getting a PB? Yes. So 400, should we be getting a PB? You would guess yes. But let's have a look. Now, 400, I don't think it's a perfect run, my PB. It's normally probably with 2 goods, I would guess, maybe 3. But what you do normally need is the perfect start. It's very hard to get close to your PB if you do not have the perfect start, regardless of whether you're doing an upgrade on an athlete. That perfect start really does propel you forward. Maybe we can do what's the time savings on a perfect start, which we should be able to do actually, just do a bit of testing. We can probably do it over the 100 metres. Might do it when we get to the tribe event, and look at how much difference the perfect start makes. I know. I know middle distance, it makes a big difference. Getting the perfect start. To the extent where if you don't get a perfect start, if you're going for a PB and you do not get a perfect start, there's little point actually doing the race. That's how close it gets. Okay. There we go, back to 400. This is always good. We can see the crown is on someone else. That means we can get 5 stars. And even if you get a false start in the 400, you could actually very easily overtake the 2 hardest events. 2 hardest events to get to get 5 stars. Well, actually, it's probably at least 3. So 100 and 200, if you get a false start, it's nigh and impossible. Actually, it's only those 2. I was thinking about some others which they weren't hard. Actually, they were the complete opposite. They were easy. So I don't know why I was thinking of those. But they are the hardest ones. If you get a false start, you're just not going to catch up. 800, 1500, you can catch up. And there's a PB on the 400. So, not a massive gain, but still a good gain, and still lots of improvements we can make. And I think that's it. That's important. If I ran a perfect race, then you could argue, was it the card, or actually is it something else? Is it the fact of just nailing it a little bit better than what it was before? But we haven't. So that's it for today. I'll see you on the next video. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon. And we're obviously going to get into more live events as we go through, which will be really interesting to see. So I'll see you on that next video. As I said, so hit the subscribe button and put some comments in below. But I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.